States, accompanied by Hillary Rodham Clinton and Timber Gore.
Can't play it back there. That's it. The CD went back. Hold on.
Good morning, Oregon! We are honored to have America's leadership dream team in Portland today. And I'm thrilled to welcome all of them back to our dream city. This is the fourth trip to our fair city for the president, and when the press asks me, why does the president come to Portland so often? I tell them because he truly loves this city as much as we do. As mayor of an American city, I have been treated as a full partner by this administration. We have been empowered by them to develop strategies that fit our communities, to build community, and to take responsibility for solving problems in our neighborhoods. As citizens of this city, we have seen firsthand and close up the leadership of this administration. AmeriCorps' young people cleaning up environmental sensitive watersheds, and wiping out the violence of graffiti messages. Summer youth jobs that have been saved, funds for our police to clean up gang and drug activity, housing for our homeless, and an Enterprise Community Award that gives residents the power to invest in their communities to revitalize their neighborhoods. And saving 4,000 acres of 200-year-old trees in Oregon and Washington. And we will never forget, Mr. President, your personal attention to the suffering of many of our citizens as a result of last year's devastating flood. For Oregon, Vice President Gore's work on reinventing government has given us the Oregon option and our ability to push the envelope and receive special attention by this administration because we are not afraid to hold ourselves accountable for getting results. Thank you both for giving so much attention and care to the cities of America. And finally, Hillary, look in Look in the Oregonian newspaper yesterday and today and see what you helped make possible in Oregon by your tireless work to help America raise its educational standards for all of our children. Mr. President, not only are we the city of roses, the city that works, but we are the city of bridges. We have 10 bridges that span the Willamette River within this city. We are ready to join you and Vice President Gore in crossing all of our bridges to a better future for everybody, every citizen, as we enter the 21st century. And now, it gives me great honor to introduce a man who will be the next U.S. Senator from this great state of Oregon. A man of integrity, a man of vision, and someone who knows what Oregonians care about. Tom Breguier.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What do you think, Portland? It's a great day for Oregonians. And I don't know about you, it's the last day of summer and I'm ready to get rid of this warm weather, aren't you? It's been 4 great years for President Clinton and Vice President Gore. We've had the family and medical leave. We've had the Brady bill and the assault weapons ban. We've had the crime bill that has put 400 more cops on Oregon streets. International trade is up and government regulations are down. Small business growth is up and interest rates are down. Employment is up and government waste is down. And importantly, the minimum wage is up. And the deficit is down. But we've got more work to do. We have to make certain that our president can continue building bridges, can continue getting our country back on the right track, and can stop having to simply defend our country from the bad ideas coming from the other side. This Republican conservative-led Congress wants to slash Medicare and abandon our commitments to seniors, and we're not going to let them. They want to gut the Clean Air and the Clean Water Act, and we're not going to let them. They want to make taxpayers pick up the bill for polluters, and we're not going to let them. And they want to repeal the assault weapons ban and the Brady bill, and we're not going to let them. Let's give our president a Congress that has vision. Let's give Bill Clinton a chance to sign bills for our children's future. We need a House and a Senate that supports the president in building a bridge to the 21st century, and we're going to give it to him. If there was ever a time in American history for you to get involved, this is the time. If there was ever a year to make a difference, it's 1996. And if there is ever one day in your life when you can say, today I will try, today I will work, today I will give, today I will take a stand and commit myself to America's future, today is that day and we're going to start. It gives me great pleasure to introduce a woman who has fought for American families, who has fought for Oregon's environment, who has fought for rights of people throughout our country and our state, Congresswoman Elizabeth Furs.
Thank you. you. It's going to be wonderful to have Tom Berger in Washington with me. Let's get him there. Today, I have the great honor of welcoming to the 1st Congressional District President Clinton and Vice President Gore, and what an honor it is. Aren't we glad to have them here? President Clinton has been a friend of American families and American children, and we know that there is nothing that we can do that will help our country more than to make sure that there is a good education for our children. Now, a person I work with, Newt, he says, well, we can do more with less. But this president has said, no, let us invest in education. Let us invest in our children. This president has said, let us promote programs like DARE and safe and free drug schools to keep our kids safe. This president and I join him in saying we need a tax deduction for people who invest in their own education, their own training. It was a great honor for me in 1993 to join President Clinton in voting for a crime bill that has, in this district alone, put 89 new cops on the street. This is a president who cares about our safety. And when the extremists in Congress attempted to roll back 25 years of environmental safeguards, the president said no. I said no in the Congress, and the American people said no. We want our environment safe. And we stand before you today, all of us, pledging to preserve the quality of life for Oregonians and for all Americans. It gives me an enormous honor and a pleasure to introduce to you a woman who is a wonderful mother. She is a role model for all Americans, Mrs. Tipper Gore.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Good morning. It's great to see you. Hi. Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you. It's always an honor to be introduced by Congresswoman Elizabeth First. You are so lucky we are here in her district. You benefit from her leadership, and she is absolutely bringing honor to the district here in Portland as well as to the entire nation. You should be very proud that you elected her. Keep sending her back. She's great. It's fabulous. And I have to admit, I always love rallies, but I really am excited today. You know, one of our purposes is to talk about reinvention of government. And Al has been working at the President's request on reinventing government for some 3 years now, working very hard. It's not always exciting. It isn't. It's just not. And now that we have Al's book to talk about, I think I want to share with you that the title reminds me of Al a little bit, and it's the best, he is one of the best kept secrets in government. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. Let's leave it that way, and they will talk to you more. I want to mention one more thing, because this is very significant about President Clinton's leadership on health care. You know, so many of us have fought for so many years for better coverage for those with a mental illness, and the Congress last night made a significant step forward in increasing access for all people with mental illness and greater coverage. You stick with something, you work hard at it, that's President Clinton's way of government, and eventually you win and make lives better for people. Thank you, President Clinton, for your leadership on that. Thank you. Another person who has persevered and worked very hard for 20 years as a voice for the voiceless, for women, for children, for families, a woman of conviction and compassion, a great mother, a great wife, a great partner, and someone that all of us can share in as our greatest First Lady ever. I present to you Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you. We are so happy to be here in Portland and to see this enormous crowd. And I want to say a special word of appreciation to my friend Tipper Gore, because her relentless advocacy on behalf of mental health is one of the reasons that the Conference Committee in the Congress has finally said mental illness and physical illness should be treated in the same way. I am also pleased that the Conference Committee has finally passed, and I hope the Congress will pass immediately, the provision which says to insurance companies, you are not to decide how long a mother and newborn baby stay in the hospital. That decision should be left to doctors and nurses, and finally we will have some protection for those mothers who need it. And I'm very pleased so many people have supported that. We are making progress. We can look at the progress that has happened in the last 4 years and the way that it has changed and improved the lives of so many Americans. And one of the reasons for that progress is that we have a remarkable partnership between two men who get up every single day trying to make this country and world a better place for us and our children. And it's a great honor always for me to introduce the best Vice President in the history of the United States, Al Gore.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Portland. I want to thank the First Lady for her kind words and for her tireless work on behalf of families and children. I want to thank all of you for coming here this morning. I know that many of you are here because of my reputation for excitement. I know that there are many who will be very disappointed when I tell you that I do not intend to perform the Macarena this morning. Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I want to acknowledge one of the most outstanding members of Congress in this country, who's been an ally for me on the environment and reinventing government and many other issues, Congresswoman Elizabeth First. Thank you for electing her. Let's make sure she's reelected. I want to thank your great mayor, who has been a great reinventor and leader on all issues, your Mayor Vera Katz. Thank you very much, Mayor. I want to ask you to make certain that you send an outstanding public servant, an outstanding individual to represent you and our country in the United States Senate, Tom Breguier. And there are two outstanding candidates for the House of Representatives who are here this morning, and I want to ask all of you to listen carefully to what they're saying during this campaign. Some of you are from their districts. Those of you who have friends there, please spread the word about what good candidates they are. If you are among those Americans who believe that it's really important, as I do, who controls the House of Representatives, if you believe that we would have a better chance to solve our problems if the current Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, was not Speaker of the House and we had a Democratic majority, then please elect to the Congress Darlene Hooley and Mike Dugan. Why don't you all come on up here. Can you say 30 seconds for us, Darlene?
Yes. First of all, I am thrilled to be on this stage with the President, Vice President, the First Lady, and Tipper Gore, and with our Democratic leaders. You know, I decided to run for Congress because I was really angry about what was happening in this Congress. They weren't talking about the issues that we all care about. I mean, all of us believe that a good education is the most important thing we can invest in. All of us believe that a good job at a decent wage is the key to a strong family. And all of us believe that we need to feel safe in our homes and in our communities. And all of us believe that we must keep our promises when we make those promises, especially to our seniors. That's what this Congress should be talking about. I was really tired of a Congress that was pulling America apart at the seams. We'd like to go to Congress to change that, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Today is a great day to be a Democrat. All right. And today is a great day to be an Oregonian, because we know what is important to our future. And I am just proud as I can be to be up on this podium with the Vice President and President of the United States. And I want to thank you, Oregonians, for inviting them here and giving them this great welcome. Let's continue to build that bridge to the 21st century. Let's walk there, and let's be sure we've got something there that we like, and we can do that because of these two gentlemen up here with me. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thank you very much. Two outstanding candidates for Congress, and I want to also thank State Representative Margaret Carter, co-chair of our Clinton-Gore 96 campaign, Charlie Hales, City Commissioner, and also State Treasurer Jim Hill, Secretary of State Phil Kiesling, candidate for Attorney General Hardy Myers, Mark Abrams, Vice Chair of the party, and I want to acknowledge two individuals who could not be here. Your great Governor, John Kitzhaber, and Mrs. Kitzhaber, and your great Senator Ron Wyden. We appreciate him. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here this morning to talk to you about the President's challenge to America to build a bridge to the 21st century. You have heard us discuss the importance of having the right economic policy, and because of President Clinton, we ended the recession that we inherited and brought unemployment down and created 10.5 million new jobs, and the stock market's breaking all-time records, and inflation's at a 30-year low, and the deficit's gone down 4 years in a row. You've seen more new small businesses created than ever before in each of the last 3 years. You've seen tremendous progress with jobs being created right here in Oregon. You've also seen progress in fighting crime, with crime going down dramatically for 4 years in a row. You've seen more student loans, more Pell Grants, more proposals to open up access to education. You've seen new initiatives on mental health, on family and medical leave, on a wide variety of initiatives that improve the lives of average citizens, making health insurance portable, cleaning up the environment more effectively. We achieved an agreement to protect and preserve and restore salmon here in the Pacific Northwest. It's absolutely critical to your future. Agreements to preserve old-growth forests, and we are going to keep the commitments to preserve that old-growth forest. You're seeing an effort to connect every classroom and library in America to the information superhighway, to build on the high technology advances that are taking place right here in Oregon. That's part of the bridge to the 21st century. But ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say a few words this morning about a critical effort that is necessary in order to accomplish any of the other things that we routinely talk about. Because those of us who believe that the promise of self-government can be redeemed in this generation, those of us who believe that representative democracy can work to enable us to come together as a national community to solve our problems and build that bridge to the 21st century and create a bright future for our children. Those of us who believe these things must roll up our sleeves and get involved in the difficult work of reinventing government to make it an instrument of change and not something that's mired down in red tape and unnecessary rules and bureaucracy, and make it a servant of the people that will work better and cost less. Bill Clinton, as president, has made it possible for the United States of America to reinvent our government, and that's making the progress in these other areas possible. So thank you, Mr. President, for what you're doing and have done. Now, in the last 4 years, we have worked very hard to reduce red tape, downsize our government, eliminate unnecessary regulations. We now have the smallest federal government since John Kennedy was president. We're eliminating 16,000 pages of unnecessary regulations. And today, this morning, I will present to the President our new report showing exactly what the progress has been and outlining exactly where we are going from here. And we came here to Portland to get government rolling across the bridge to the 21st century because Oregon has been leading the way in America. Thank you, Oregon, for what you have been doing. No other state has gone so far toward a government that produces a lot of good results and a lot less red tape. Oregon has been blessed with leaders like John Kitzhaber, Neil Goldschmidt, Barbara Roberts in the governor's office, people who have renewed the dream of reinvention and kept it alive. Mayors like Vera Katz and Gussie McRobert, Catherine Golden, Carly Vars, Marion Rossi. County commissioners like Bev Stein, Randy Frank, John Howard, Steve Cornacchia. You know, several years ago, Oregon started this process here by consulting every citizen in this state who was interested in order to establish clear goals for this state. Oregon decided which issues were most important, issues like cleaning up rivers, increasing adult literacy, reducing teen pregnancy, and then tough, clear, specific goals were set with firm numbers, like reducing teen pregnancy from 18 in 1,000 to only 8 in 1,000, and raising the immunization rate among Oregon's 2-year-olds from 47% to 100%. These goals are called Oregon Benchmarks. This program was honored with a national award for innovations in American government by the Ford Foundation and the Kennedy School of Government. And for the first time in American history, a state government set itself a series of goals and allowed these goals to run the bureaucracy instead of having the bureaucracy determine the goals. In 1994, Oregon invited the federal government to join a partnership to help cut the red tape and to help get the results of the benchmarks. We call this performance partnership the Oregon option, and it is the wave of the future in American federalism. Many of the people who helped get this partnership moving are here today. From the state level, Connie Revelle, Duncan Wise, Jenna Thorne, and Mark Overbeck. Sue Cameron from Tillamook County. Jono Hildner from Clackamas County, who incidentally works under the supervision of Darlene Hooley. Darlene may be bringing more work for Jono. As you know, she is running for Congress and wants to expand the good work that we're doing here in Oregon. I want to thank all of these pioneers for their outstanding work. Let me give you an example of the Oregon option at work. Immunization. I mentioned that goal that Oregonians set to increase immunization rates among your 2-year-olds. Well, the federal government was trying to help by giving money to immunize kids. But it wasn't that simple. There were 7 different kinds of federal immunization money. One kind for diphtheria, another for hepatitis B, but that was only hepatitis B in teenagers. There was a different program for hepatitis B in infants. Not a different shot, same shot, just different money and a different program. But that's not all. For the best protection, babies should get their shots within 2 weeks from the day they're born, and most babies are born in hospitals. So common sense tells us that hospital nurses should give the shots while the babies are there. But the federal rules said it had to be done in a public health clinic. The bookkeeping was also a nightmare, with county health workers filling out paperwork to keep detailed records of the 7 different kinds of money, when what they should be doing is giving the shots instead of filling out the paperwork. Well, the Oregon option is helping us change all that. The 7 different immunization funds have been consolidated into a single partnership. The detailed timesheets are no longer required at all. We cut out the reports. Nobody was reading them anyway. We waived a rule so Oregon could use federal money to buy labor-saving computers and cut other administrative barriers. Oregon now reports that $600,000 that used to be completely wasted on that paperwork is now going toward immunizing the children and giving the shots to the kids, which is what we were supposed to be doing all along. That's only one example, but I want you to know that across the board, the partnership has produced great results. Statewide, that immunization rate is already up more than 20 percentage points, from 50% 2 years ago to almost 70% now, and you're going to make it to 100%. Teen pregnancy in Tillamook County declined by 70% over the last 4 years, and the welfare caseload is down by 37% in just the last year. That's progress. That's why partnerships work. We've been getting great results like this all over America. Partnerships like the one you helped us pioneer here in Oregon are now at work in Connecticut and Kentucky and other states, and also in a dozen cities, including Detroit and Philadelphia. Partnerships are lifting the economy, along with improving work safety from Maine all the way to the Pacific Coast. The partnerships are cleaning up the environment, moving new cancer drugs to market much more rapidly, stopping more illegal drugs at our borders, putting more police on our streets to fight crime. So, under President Bill Clinton, government is changing, switching to 21st century ways all over America, getting better results, delivering better service. Up until now, a lot of this change has been pretty much kept a secret. I didn't mean for it to be, it just worked out that way. But it's high time the secret was out. So, Mr. President, I've written a tell-all book about the progress in reinventing government, and it is entitled The Best Kept Secrets in Government. And I'm going to release it here in Portland today. It's all in here. This book includes the real reason the head of public health in Tillamook, Oregon, stopped sending in her timesheets. This book includes the truth about military underwear. This book includes the surprising things people learn when they call the Passport Service's 1-900 telephone number. We're not hiding any of it anymore. We're putting it all out here. You can get a copy today at the government printing office on Southwest 1st Street. I'm sure that Powell's Books on West Burnside will have it soon. Why should this have been a secret? Well, maybe because it's hard work and it's been happening little by little, day in and day out, office by office, regulation by regulation. If you take it one improvement at a time, it's not big news. But altogether, it's pretty impressive. The first year, we got Congress to approve 32 pieces of reinvention legislation, including our plan to reduce the size of government by 250,000 jobs, and we've now done that. The next year, we got another 34 reinvention proposals through Congress, including changes that brought common sense into the way government buys things. Since then, 52 more reinvention proposals have been enacted. That's almost 120 in all. And 120 more are pending in bills that Congress should pass, bills that will change the rules and make it possible to eliminate much more red tape. I challenged the Congress this morning to send President Clinton the Civil Service Reform Bill that passed out of committee unanimously and is being held up by the leadership in the Congress. Let's pass it. It's ready to go right now. It'll be another major step forward for reinventing government. We've saved almost $120 billion with these common sense reforms, and it shouldn't be a secret anymore. That's why I hope people all across America will find out what is in this report, and so that these best-kept secrets in government will not be secret anymore. But ladies and gentlemen, this effort is one of the real keys to building that bridge to the 21st century. And the individual who is the architect of that bridge to the 21st century, who makes it possible for us to do the hard, everyday work of reinventing government so that we can bring the crime rate down and build the economy and clean up the environment and make education accessible, is the individual who's been leading our country toward progress for the last 4 years and who will lead America across that bridge to the 21st century with your help in the next 4 years, President Bill Clinton.
Thank you. Good morning, Portland. Mayor Katz, Congresswoman First, Tom Bruguiere, Darlene Hooley, Mike Dugan. Thank you all for being here with us. And Madam Mayor and Congresswoman First, thank you for making us feel so welcome in Portland again. Maybe I come back here so often because I like it. I must say, I have to hand it to the Vice President. I didn't think anyone could keep a secret in Washington. Al Gore cut a book deal with a book full of secrets. It never leaked. Now he's telling it all, and he wrote the book under his own name. Al Gore is doing for the federal government what he did for the Macarena. He is removing all the unnecessary steps. Now, he's got some funny names here. He calls for performance-based organizations. That's sort of a boring title, I think we ought to scrap that title and substitute something more exciting like Trailblazers. Would you like to? I want to thank Tipper Gore and the First Lady, too, for some things they've already talked about. You know, we've worked very hard to improve the health care of the American people. That's a big part of moving into the 21st century, to immunize more children, to increase medical research, to speed the movement of drugs to market. In only 4 years, we more than doubled the life expectancy of people with HIV and AIDS in just 4 years, as an example. Finally, we got the Congress to pass the Kennedy-Kassebaum bill that says to 25 million Americans, you can't lose your health insurance or have it taken away anymore just because someone in your family gets sick or because you change jobs. And yesterday we had 3 big victories. Congress did, as Hillary said, answer our call to tell the insurance companies that newborns and their mothers deserve at least 48 hours in the hospital. They can't be kicked out 8 hours after delivery anymore. Congress responded to the work that Tipper Gore has been doing for years and years and years in a bipartisan fashion that also included Senator Domenici from New Mexico, and saying that it is time to ensure that people who need treatment for mental illness get the treatment they need also and without discrimination. And finally, I want to say a special word of thanks to the work that the Congress did in our continuing efforts to be fair to veterans and their families who served us in foreign theaters and may have been exposed to dangerous chemicals, when they provided health benefits to veterans whose children are born with spina bifida. Those were 3 great things to do for America yesterday, and I thank the Congress for doing it. I'm happy to be back in Portland. I'll never forget what I saw here last spring when I visited during the floods. The true spirit of America, the pioneering spirit, is alive and well in Oregon, but I was glad to hear the mayor remind me that you have 10 bridges here, and in Oregon, you want to build a bridge to the 21st century. In 1992, the people of Oregon supported the Vice President and me when we came here and asked you to help us to put people first and to change the direction of our country, to put America on the right track, and to change the way government works. To make sure that when we enter the 21st century, as I look out at this sea of people, that every one of you will enter a century with the American dream alive and well for every person who's willing to work for it. That we will enter a century in which America is coming together and embracing its diversity, not being torn apart by it, as so many other nations are all around the world. And that we would not run away from our responsibilities to be the strongest force for peace and freedom and security in the world. The best days of this country are still ahead of us if we build the right bridge to the 21st century. Now, in this election season, you will hear a lot of rhetoric back and forth, maybe a lot of characterizations of people's motives. I've tried to stay away from that. I don't want to demean anybody. I want this to be an election season of ideas, not insults. I want to ask, what are we going to do, not who can we blame? How are we going to build this country and move it together? But I must say, there are some facts that you can't get around. It is a fact that we have 10.5 million more jobs, the lowest unemployment rate in 7.5 years, almost 4.5 million new homeowners, the deficit going down for all 4 years of an administration for the first time since before the Civil War in the 1840s. A record number of exports, record small businesses. On October the 1st, 10 million hardworking Americans will get an increase in their minimum wage. Every small business in the country has been made eligible for a tax cut when they buy health insurance or if they invest more money in their business to hire more people and grow and help America grow. The welfare rolls are down by 1.8 million. Child support collections are up by 40%, $3 billion. The drinking water is safer, the air is purer, our food standards are much higher. As the Vice President said just in the last week, we've reached an agreement to restore the salmon on the Columbia River and an agreement to protect the old-growth forest in Oregon and Washington. Just a couple of days ago, I was honored to proclaim a 1.7 million acre national monument, the Grand Staircase Escalante Monument in southern Utah. We are moving this country in the right direction. And now we have to continue to build that bridge to the future, a bridge where there is opportunity for all, starting with the best education for every single American. We ought to be lifting our teachers and our students up, not running our teachers down as some are doing in this election season. I ask you to join me in helping every classroom to be connected to the information superhighway by the year 2000. If every classroom is tied into the internet and the World Wide Web, we can make sure for the first time in history that every child in America in the poorest rural district, in the most devastated economic areas of the country, in isolated inner city districts, in middle class and wealthy districts, that all together at the same time have access to the same information in the same way. It's never happened before. Will you help us make it happen in the future? I ask you to help me in opening the doors of college education to all Americans who want to go. In the past 4 years, we passed the AmeriCorps program, and 50,000 young Americans have built communities like Portland and earned their way through college. We revolutionized the student loan program to lower the cost and improve the repayment terms so that anybody could borrow the money and know they wouldn't go broke trying to pay it back. But now we have to do more. I propose to make a college education universal by doing three things. Number one, saying you can save in an IRA for years and years and then withdraw from that IRA tax-free if you're using it to pay for a college education or a health emergency or buying a first home. Number two, saying we're going to make a community college education at least 2 years of education after high school just as common and universal in 4 years as a high school diploma is today. We need that to start the new century. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to say to Americans, if you want to go to community college for 2 years, all you have to do is work hard, make your grades. You can take off your taxes dollar for dollar the tuition cost at the typical community college in the United States. And number three, we want to say to all students of whatever age, in whatever college in America, undergraduate and graduate, you ought to be able to deduct from your taxes the cost of college tuition up to $10,000 a year. I want to build a bridge to the 21st century that keeps this economy going strong. That means we have to pay for those tax cuts and the tax cuts for child rearing and for buying and selling your home in the context of a balanced budget that continues to invest in education, in the environment, in research, in technology, and protects our obligations through Medicare and Medicaid. We can do that if you will help us build that bridge to the 21st century. The crime rate has come down for 4 years in a row. The juvenile crime rate is starting to drop. The juvenile murder rate has come way down. We are moving in the right direction, but I want to keep going. I want to rebuff those in the Congress who are trying to stop us from putting 100,000 police on the street. We're halfway home. I want to finish the job. I want to see us. We passed the Brady bill. Now we ought to extend the Brady bill. 60,000 felons, fugitives, and stalkers have not gotten handguns because of the Brady bill. I think we ought to extend it to people who beat up their spouses and their children. They shouldn't have handguns either. I want to build a bridge to the 21st century where we have a stronger American community. I am very proud that the first bill I signed after becoming president was the family and medical leave law. Over the strong opposition of the leaders of the other party, we passed it. They said it would hurt the economy. They said it would weaken business. They said it would burden small business. Well, 4 years later, We have 10.5 million new jobs, record numbers of new small businesses, record numbers of new businesses owned by women and minorities, and 12 million families have taken advantage of the family and medical leave law to have a child born, to tend to a sick parent, a sick child, a sick spouse. I'm telling you, we're stronger because we did that. And I want to see us expand that. I believe we ought to expand the family and medical leave law to say that parents should be able to go see their children's teachers on a regular basis and be able to take their kids or their folks to the doctor without losing their jobs. It won't hurt the economy. We'll have a stronger economy when people can care for their family members. And finally, we have a lot of work to do in the environment to build a strong American community. Let me just mention one thing. We have 10 million children still living within 4 miles of a toxic waste site, even though we've cleaned up more of them in 3 years than were cleaned up in the 12 years before we took office. If you will give us 4 more years, we'll clean up 500 more so we can say our children are growing up next to parks, not poison. Will you help us build that bridge to the 21st century? Now let me tell you the reason we decided to do this Reinventing Government announcement here is because Oregon, and particularly the city of Portland, have led the way in proving you can have a government that actually works for people, that inspires confidence, that gets results. When we took office, the deficit was $290 billion a year and going higher. We had the slowest job growth rate since the Great Depression. You have cheered for the achievements of the administration. You have cheered for the things we want to do. We cannot do these things, and we could not have achieved what has been done in the last 4 years had it not been for the leadership of the Vice President and our determination to give you a government that costs less and does more. That's what Reinventing Government does. It makes it possible for us to do the other things that you have cheered for, that you are working for here today. And so I say to you, this book the Vice President gives me today is a book that Americans ought to be interested in. It says we're bringing common sense to government. And everything from hiring people to buying things, we've eliminated double talk and bureaucracy. Do you know when I became president, if a government agency wanted to buy a $4 stapler, they had to do $50 worth of paperwork. Now, we can buy a $4 stapler for $4. That's $46 we can spend on Head Start programs, on environmental protection, on investing in medical research. The second thing we're doing is serving people better. We have ended the era when people could run for office, desperate to be in government, by just bad-mouthing government. A lot of our friends on the other side have amazed me. They badmouth and badmouth and badmouth the government, but they can't bear to live outside of it. We have proved that you can make government work. One woman from Sacramento was so overwhelmed by the fast and friendly service she got from the Social Security office, she wrote to tell us it left her, and I quote, dazed and confused. She could not believe that her government would do anything that well. Well, we're doing a lot of things that well. The direct student loan program cuts the cost of college loans, but improves the repayment terms, says you can only be required to pay it back as a percentage of your income. So go on and borrow the money and go to college and give yourself a better life. The SBA loan program, which has helped us to start a record number of small businesses, has been cut down to 1 page, and we have dramatically increased loans to women and minority business owners without undermining the quality. We proved that we could diversify educational opportunities and economic opportunities and achieve excellence in both. At the Department of Housing and Urban Development, Henry Cisneros has managed to cut about $1,000 off the closing costs for the average first-time home buyers, and in a time of budget cuts, to initiate programs that decrease homelessness in communities all across America. We can make this government work for you, and we're determined to do it. Wherever they've been willing to do it, we've used businesses as partners. After all, what we want is cleaner air, cleaner water, safer food. We don't want punishment. If government and business can work as partners, we want to do it. And we want to be partners with communities. That's what Oregon's all about. Let me tell you, As you think about welfare reform, the partnership that the United States has had with Oregon and with the city of Portland can be a model for how we can make welfare reform work. I signed that bill because it has a new bargain for people on welfare. It says we'll continue to have a national guarantee for health care, for nutrition for children. If you go to work, we'll spend more than ever on child care, but we're going to give the money that used to be in the welfare check to the states so that they can develop community-based systems, not only to give income to people, but to move able-bodied people into the workforce. The only way that can be done is if there is a community-based system where people are committed to going out and challenging employers and say, okay, we'll give you some help to do it, but you've been cussing the welfare system all these years. Now hire these people, give them a job, we'll support them with child care and education. That has to happen in the communities of America, and we trust Portland to do it. We trust Oregon to do it. You can lead America's way in doing it. So yes, reinventing government means doing more efficient things. It means doing better things. It means doing with less. It also means improvements in Medicare and Medicaid, and our educational programs, and our support for small business, and our environmental protection. It means improvements in our national parks, not selling them off. And it means help in emergencies. I want to say that one of my proudest achievements as president is reforming the Federal Emergency Management Agency. It had become such a disaster itself that Congress even considered abolishing it. But as Portland, as Oregon, as Washington State saw during the flood, as California saw in earthquakes and fires and floods, as we saw in the Middle West where they had a 500-year flood, and in the hurricanes along the eastern coast of America, we have an emergency management agency today that works with people on the ground and helps people and helps communities to rebuild their lives. That is something that is worth fighting for. So I want to ask you to support us in this effort. I want you to know that when we balance the budget in 2002, we're still going to be spending more money on education and research and protecting the environment. So we're going to have a smaller and more productive government. We're going to have to privatize organizations that can now work better in the private sector, like Sallie Mae. We've got the direct student loan program. They need to be able to do some other things as well. We want hundreds of organizations to become performance-based, to be trailblazers in increasing productivity and making their customers happy. I don't want people to be dazed and confused if they're well served by the government, like that lady in Sacramento was. Let me give you one example. Very important in Oregon and every state with a high-tech base. We want the patent office to become performance-based. Today, when an inventor applies for a patent, it takes almost 600 days for the inventor to get it. When we get done, we'll be able to give them those patents in 60 days, 1/10 of the time. That means more progress for America, more new jobs, more advances in high technology. And finally, we want to use technology to open government to people more. Today, I want to announce that the White House homepage, which many of you have already used on the internet, see that sign, Portland wants socks? Even my cat has a place on our homepage. Now we're going to make it a one-stop gateway to government service. From now on, you can use the homepage at the White House to apply for a passport, ask about veterans benefits, even to buy postage stamps. Transactions, forms, information, it's all be there, and it won't be like waiting in a line. There are no lines online. This is an example of what we can do to save money, serve you better, and free up money, not only to balance the budget, but to invest in our children's future. If you want to build a bridge to the 21st century with a strong economy, good schools, safe streets, a clean environment, healthy children, successful families and communities, you must join us in this commitment to say we can make our government work for all the people. Will you help us build that bridge in the next 6 weeks and 4 days? Thank you, and God bless you all.